You are now entering the MuseCast.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing it twice. Welcome to the MuseCast, episode 72. We have guest Neil Alday with us from Neil Alday Further South and Socialburn back in the day, man.
Tell me, how does it feel when it comes to you and all the things you say to me?
You have been at this for a long ass time, and I know Neil primarily, I knew about his music, but Neil made a music video back in the day for Neil Alday and Further South, and it's still one of my favorites, one of Dick's favorites.
Yeah, man.
One of the best videos that's ever been produced, I would say. Really good.
I dare say the same.
I've been watching, I've been waiting for a sign to tell me it's time to go now on your own. Star high, stepping down the road.
We were talking about you, I think, in one of the last episodes, and I actually called that video out as being one of my favorite music videos of all time, regardless of people I know or not. Like, I just love that video.
Yeah, it was so, like, whatever you call that, just stripped down. But it looks way more produced than what it is. And I'm sure Ash probably did a ton of work in post, but like just the actual, like, hey, Bart's got a costume. Let's put him in that, and let's just get him doing menial tasks, making cookies. I'm sure there was 15 other ideas we wanted to do that we didn't do.
I know.
And then it worked out because the song saved me. And when I wrote the song or whatever happened, like, saved me, what the intention wasn't like a save me proper, like, anything like that. It was just a drunk journey through life is what I imagined it, like just a barstool story.
Yeah.
Well, it worked out so cool with you, like practically like taunting him as his conscience of, like, lack of
it worked out beautifully.
Can't you see, save me, I'm on my knees, save me, all my precious time keeps rolling down the line. Those pearl snapshots and show many skirts, they get me every time, yeah. Sometimes I feel like it's a crime. It's a crime that I'm not doing time.
It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
So Neil, Batman, and it's great too because Batman's my personal favorite comic character. So Batman and Wolverine are like my two tops. So, when you started throwing out those ideas, I was like, oh, great, he wants to do comedy because I love the opportunity to do comedy, and a lot of guys that are doing like rock don't. Now I think maybe it's more open. I think it's been exposed more through social media how, like, fun people are ready to have fun with comedy, but a lot of guys just want to look cool as shit, and it's just, I don't know, man. I think the coolest thing is to have humility and have fun with it and play into it. And so I was so happy and excited that you wanted to do a comedic aspect like that.
Yeah, well, I didn't know it was going to be comedy. I'm glad you turned it into. I was trying to be as serious as possible, trying to look cool,
Dude, this thing was mint when I left it with you.
Come on. You know what? We're kind of getting sidetracked, man. There's only so much time for frequency absorption. We need to hop on it. Can you fire up the cadence tubes?
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and get my shoes tied.
Okay.
And then here we are.
So cool. I think you came out looking the coolest ever,
Thanks
man.
Thanks for making me look good. I love that everybody thinks that I was Batman.
No shit.
Like we don't have those kind of tricks. I guess if you did this, you got a beard, but no, it's my buddy Bart.
That's funny, man. I hadn't actually experienced that.
Every time I turn around, I'm like, hey man, you were great. Like, how did y'all do you as Batman? And I was like, it wasn't me, bub.
It wasn't me.
No.
Dude, that video would have been so much harder to do if we had done it that way.
It'd been crazy.
Yeah.
Luckily, Bart had already bought the costume because he went to some Comic-Con and wanted to do whatever. So we didn't. The budget was, it was so easy to fit the budget.
Yeah. Well, is that what sparked the
Yeah,
idea?
that
Just
worked.
that you had a friend that had the costume and you were trying to think of a way to use it, or
Oh, well, no, it was just a situation where we would go over to Bart's and hang out. They were kind of a younger crowd than us. Like they looked up to us as we were coming up. They weren't musical, but I used to play football. So I was a big deal coming up.
Yeah,
And his dad was one of the coaches. And so like he was always around us. So Bart always looked up to us. So, we waited till Bart got to the age of, being able to partake in beverages or whatever before we went and started hanging out with Bart. When we come back in town, it's like, okay, well, Bart had the pad where we went and hung out. And so over there, while we're over there, you look around, it's like, well, you hear Bart telling stories about his Batman match, and I'm looking at the walls, and you looking at the place there. It's like, wow, this place is perfect for whatever we want to do here. And then Stripper's house with the garage, it looks like it's attached to that house. The paneling's all the same. Everything's exactly the same. And so that couldn't have worked out any more beautifully.
Well, it's funny because the original idea when we were doing this video was we honestly were only going to film for one day. And we were only going to film it as a performance video in this garage that you kept talking about. That was like a time capsule of stuff.
Yep. Which would have been cool. That alone, because we wanted to model it somewhat off the first Weezer video where they're in their little garage. Somebody's going and doing laundry. I like the aspect of that, especially the lighting and stuff too, which I think you nailed beautifully. But not totally ripping off that concept, but like we did our own thing. But that was just the simplistic nature of that video was what I was going after was like, well, we'll figure out what it is we're going to do as we go. But we didn't know where we were going with that video until all of a sudden the Batman element came in. And I was like, wait a minute, now we can do something. And then, you got Batman watching us from the inside. Like you're just in his psyche. Like he's like, this band or whatever's going on. Am I seeing things? It's so good.
Yeah. Oh man, I love it. I love it.
And I'm still waiting on them to sue us, so it's all good. DC.
Well, and we were talking about that. We were worried about the and then Terry was convinced, it's just satire, and I think it is. But if they did try to sue, it'd be all the publicity in the world. So.
We paid for the costume. Come on.
Yeah. Right. For the costume.
Yeah, the costume didn't come with a disclaimer. Disclaimer.
Not
allowed to film any home videos or music videos with this costume. Yeah. No.
Dude, I've got there's a guy I hire that flies drones, and he doesn't need to fly drones. He's like he owns an insurance company, and
I've met this guy.
You've met this guy. Yeah, he's in Key the Muses for a moment. He's one of the Normans in the beginning episode. This guy has an entire Iron Man suit, and we're talking about like an $11,000 or $13,000 Iron Man suit. And this thing opens up, and it has like the lights and the capsule, and he can get in it and operate it. And he gets hired out to go. And I'm just like, holy shit. He's also got Mandalorian, but that Iron Man was insane, dude. It's a statue in his house. So I saw it in person, and he just activated it, and it's like capsules opening up, arms open up, like, and then he gets into it. I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy.
Yeah, I'm so thankful Bart had his $500 or $600 Batman suit, whatever it was. It's well worth every penny.
Hell yeah!
If I ever make $5, he'll get it.
Oh god, man. Right. Yeah, that's a thing. Like trying to make money with music is such a weird animal. You can't do it, right?
No.
Well, it's like we were saying, or we weren't saying. It's not like we, during the sound check we may have uttered something, but with this new generation of like, there's so much accessibility in music and with art and everything else that it's so saturated because of that. So it's like, in order to rise to the top, you're still at a level like back in the day, whenever you're like a struggling local musician before internet, before any of that. How do you float to the top? What is it that you do? How do you get recognized? What do you have to do? And it's the same thing now. Like the only thing you can do is just keep creating. And as long as you keep creating, there's a chance that whatever it is at some point gets recognized. And then a person, I watch like car YouTube guys, whatever. Yeah. And, there's guys that I've followed from the start, and they've got 1,000 videos and still only like, whenever they're going, there's 1,500 views on that video or whatever. Well, at some point, some of these guys have popped. And whenever they pop, it's like overnight. It seems like overnight, but it wasn't overnight. They put out a ton of videos and stayed at it forever. And, same thing musically. You could do the same thing musically. Like you could track which I'm not going to do. But you could track your musical life the same way. You could say, hey, we're going to workshop songs and you're going to watch us workshop songs.
That is a great. I think let's go down this rabbit hole for a second because it's
so vulnerable. Like it's not like working on cars. Working on cars, that carburetor needs to be ejected or needs a kit. Like
there's a very procedural thing with working on a car, and there's a creative aspect too. But it's like being creative. You're customizing suspension components and you're achieving a goal, and it's usually the same uniformly. It's the same goal. I follow some car guys too. I love like the roadkill guys are my favorite. Dave Freiberger, Steve Dulcich, and Mike Finnegan. Those guys, I watch it nonstop in my free time. But music is such a critiqueable, if that's right. Like you start writing music, man. You're going to have some people who want to look and watch and learn, and you're going to have people who just all they want to do is shit on it.
Yeah. And you have leaders and you have followers. And I'm a leader, I'm a songwriter, I'm a whatever. Like whatever's going on, I already hear in my head. There's a concert going on. If there's an idea that popped out, it's already written. Like there's no sit and think about it. It's just there. And the only thing I have to do at that point is try to figure out a way to hammer it into whoever's around me and has decided to participate in this with me, to listen to what I'm telling them and just do it. And when it's over with, we'll have something. If you just trust me.
Right.
And we got to monkey with it, and everybody's got to add their part, and then here we go with I'm selfish when it comes to my music. So it's like
Neil Alday and Further South.
No, I can understand that. You have to have the right.
You have the vision,
man, in the room. If you're going to have everybody interjecting ideas, right? Everybody's got to be in a similar mindset. Or like you said, you're just going to have everybody spitting out an idea that goes down a different avenue, and you're not going down. You're not making any gain down the road. You're not traveling from point A to B. You're just spreading out and then fizzling kind of. If you get
and then at some point you look up and 2 hours has passed and everybody's just wasted their time and we didn't get anything done.
Yeah.
Or you could have listened from the start, and in 15 minutes we'd have had something that we could rock with, and we may even be working on 2 more ideas that have nothing to do with the music that was in my head. But if you get the music out of it, like if you get that muse out real quick and do whatever you got to do, and now the juices are flowing, and now we can be creative and write a song like Stacy, or a song like there's songs that we have in our repertoire of the Socialburn days that people were a lot like we're going into so many different.
Bring it, brother. Take us. This is a conversation. Go wherever you want to go.
So, like in the beginning days, I was a songwriter without knowing I was a songwriter. Like I said, I played football, did whatever. I had an acoustic guitar that I'd gotten for Christmas or something, and I got an electric guitar. This is like 11, 12, 13. Never learned how to play it. I remember James Cobb, Chris's brother, would be in the band room at middle school just playing licks from Stone Temple Pilots or Nirvana or whatever. I was just like, dude, that dude's cool. And I'm over there playing the trombone. And I'm like, I don't know what to do about this. Like, just James was cool as could be. And he's still, he's still a cool dude. So eventually I just had this vision like, well, that makes sense to me somewhere down the line. I don't know what that had to do, but I'm drawn to that, whatever's going on. Mm-hmm. And so move on down the road. I'm a junior before I actually start. I think it was actually Razor Blade Suitcase Tour 96, I think, with Bush. I went to that concert in Pensacola, and the Violent Femmes opened up. And that was like the whole night. I'm just like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. That I'm not playing football anymore. That's what I'm going to do.
Dude, it was a live concert experience that got me to come back and learn how to play guitar. It was Metallica, Creed, and Sevendust. And actually Kid Rock was on that lineup too. And I didn't even like Kid Rock, but I walked away being fucking blown away by it.
Yeah, I made a decision
on
that
every
night,
instrument.
Whatever I got to do, I'm going to go home and write songs. Like
I did the same thing, dude. I mean, but you made it a little further than I did.
I was at least going to, well, it was, whatever. I don't know. I don't have any, whatever. I was lucky. Because it wasn't a dream. It was just like that day I decided, well, I'm going to do that. Like, I at least want to figure out a way to get backstage. Like I'm not going to be here watching. I'm going to be there. in the middle of all this. And so I spent every waking hour at that point while playing football. I turned down scholarship at Syracuse University to play football for them and a bunch of different 2As and whatever.
Position?
Middle
What
linebacker.
Position? Okay. Yeah.
And, but it was a big deal in my town. They were like, "Hey man, what are you doing? Why are you turning down like you're not doing this because of music?
Yeah.
Have you hurt yourself?
You want to do the band thing?
Have you hurt yourself?"
You do the band thing? Hey.
Well, we had recorded some demos and stuff, and stuff was passed around, and it's real weak. But again, at the end of the day, it ended up being some sort of quality songwriting hidden in there somewhere, to where somebody was like, "Okay, well, Terry Clark, we mentioned Terry a minute ago, who eventually became our manager. He's got our first demo CD, or our second demo, whatever you want to call it, the first one we actually released to the public. He got that one through a lady named Susan Blackburn we'd had a TBA party, a Tallahassee Builders Association party out in Quincy by a lake, their normal party. And my dad volunteered. He built houses. He volunteered me and my band to play their function. Well, it was a 50s themed function. And I'm like, "Pop, what are you doing? We don't do covers. Like, I don't do covers."
Yeah.
One of the reasons I started writing songs is because I couldn't sing other people's stuff. Like, my voice range, I couldn't figure out how to hear without singing their parts, and I can't sing their parts because I have my own voice. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, it's hard. Like when we're singing backup vocals or whatever, like, I can't have them in my mix. It's just me solo, because I'll mimic whatever I hear. And, and you end up somewhere in the middle, which is not good.
Yeah. Kurt Rogers has that same kind of tick a little bit. He has a tendency, if someone starts singing with him in the room, he'll have a tendency to fall into key with whoever's singing.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
I don't know what it is, but
I don't know what it is either, but it is a thing. I've seen it.
It's weird. And so we go. So my dad's like, "Well, son, I ain't never steered you wrong. You do what you got to do. We don't play the damn thing." And I said, "Well, we'll play it. We'll do something." Pearl Jam had just come out with Last Kiss. So I was like, "We'll play Last Kiss, and then we're playing our own stuff, okay?" So we did that. And I took this CD. But granted, before we even get to this, we're at 15 years old, which is 95. Before, this is pre-Bush concert, possibly. I can't remember. We got to look at the dates on the Razor Blade Suitcase tour. But I remember getting a Locals Only CD from X1.5 and sitting in I had a 57 Chevy truck, which actually ended up being on the album cover later on. But that truck I had at 15, but I couldn't drive it till I was 16. But I remember being in the yard, just putting that CD in and reading the liner notes while I'm listening to songs. I'm like, okay, cool. You got the Trumans, which I love. Bobby Silver, like that was cool. You got Nuisance, that's cool. Well, obviously you have Creed on there, and I'm like, whatever. But while I'm looking at it, I keep seeing John Kurzweg.
Keep seeing
with Noah Harto. Like, John Kurzweg is producing most of this damn record. And I'm like, well, I guess whenever I finally get ready to go record songs, I'll just go record with John Kurzweg.
Yeah.
It makes sense, right?
Why not?
Tallahassee,
makes 100% sense.
He's the guy who records songs in Tallahassee, so that's where I'll go.
Yeah,
I know nothing about Creed's blowing up. I don't know what that means for John. None of this makes any sense to me. I don't care. 2 years pass by, maybe 3 years. I graduate before I meet Terry. So I was 15. So 99 is when I graduated, 95, 99. So finally I started writing songs, but I found Dusty and Brandon. I just knew that, well, that's the bass player and drummer in town. So I'll just go get with them, and I've got a practice space. So I'll just invite them to my practice space, and we'll play my songs and we'll figure it out. And we did. And so we kept going on, and we were a 3-piece during this recording session and whatnot. At this time, I'm still hanging out with Chris's brother, James, and Chris. So I know Chris at this time, and he's playing baseball at Wallace College in Dothan. And while we're recording that session, he come down to visit a couple of times. But the whole time he's kind of like, he's hanging out with it, but he's kind of like, he's playing a little ukulele in the background, just trying to say, hey guys, I can play guitar if you want a guitar player. but we had tried another guitar player in the past and it didn't work out too good. So Dusty was real apprehensive about adding anybody. And, if you know Chris can be a little bit abrasive, but that's what I loved about Chris, is that he was a little bit of, he's a basically deep down, he loves everybody, but he's a little bit dark comedically. So he will say things will give you pause, but he's totally kidding. But he's Andy Kaufman. He does not give in. He will not let you know he's kidding. Right? He stays
Yeah.
with
I
us.
love it. I love it. Yeah.
Right there.
So Dusty, at 15 years old at this time, doesn't know how to take this dude. And he's intimidated by him, and he's like, whatever. So I finally convinced him, let's get Chris in the band, whatever. And so Chris is in the band, but he's not on that disc. Right. So we play this show at the Builders Association. Susan Blackburn is there, loved what we did. I guess she was around during the Creed days or whatever. She was kind of close to the Creed guys or something.
Okay.
She worked with Terry Clark's wife. Terry Clark was in a trio in Tallahassee that played at with John. The trio was John Kurzweg, Terry Clark, and Dale Shoemate, which was Dale Shoemate and Terry Clark ended up being Further South.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally.
Okay.
And John
These guys
Kurzweg,
as a
just to
three-piece
say
with
it,
Kurzweg is the most insane cover band you've ever heard. Like,
I bet.
blows you out of the water.
I bet. And
Yeah,
Kurzweg's a hell of a singer and songwriter.
That three-piece
and
is undeniable whenever you hear him. It blows your mind. Terry sings he sings his ass off anytime he gets a chance to sing. They do police stuff. It's so good. John can do anything.
It's funny, I never knew what it was to hate. All these memories lead the way to all these feelings I must face. Like a dream I can't erase, like 10 years ago today.
And then Dale has, Dale will do the stuff. Dale does the fun, happy songs, and and John covers the spacecraft, and then Terry brings it on home with the funk. So it's one of the coolest sets I've ever seen.
Well, what was the name of the group?
They played at the Cab Stand, and Terry's going to kill me because I can't think of the name of the group right now.
Because I saw John's Slapstick.
That's Slapstick, but this was different than Slapstick. This is a three-piece. They used to play at the Cab Stand, which we were all too young to know what the Cab Stand was. The Cab Stand was kind of closed down, but it used to be over there by or across the street from Music Masters there, in that little section where the other music store used to be there. That's where we always went to. When we were coming up.
It's all gone now. I mean, it's
all gone. It's all Fifth and Thomas now, basically. But so we ended up, that CD made its way to Terry Clark's wife, who worked at the bank with Susan. Susan knew Terry was close to John. I was like, hey, you got to hear these guys. And listen, I'm not proud of this CD, but I go back and listen to it fondly. Like, it is what it is. Everything's out of tune. I sing like a 12-year-old. But it's also just completely genuine and as close to raw creativity or whatever you want to call it. Not knowing what you're doing, and there it is. Hey, how's it going? And for some reason, John was like, it got to Terry. Terry listened to it, and he was like, I think I'm crazy, but I kind of dig this. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I dig it. And so he sent it to John and was like, just tell me I'm crazy. And John's like, no,
he had to preface
something.
it by saying that he thought I don't know if I'm crazy, but
And then John was like, hey, John's recording. I think which Creed record was the second Creed record John was working on at the time? Was that Weathered?
Yeah,
that was
I think it's Weathered. John was working on Weathered at the time. Yeah, I think so.
No, wasn't it Human Clay?
Human Clay.
Weathered was the third one.
I was in my mind, I was looking at the Human Clay cover thinking Weathered, but you're right. Weathered was the Creed. Human Clay was the guy coming in.
Yeah.
So
I like 90s CGI stuff.
Yeah, that was a good album. Yeah. And so John was working on that and working with Eagle Eye Cherry. Like he was entertaining a bunch of different things. He had a bunch of stuff going on. So he was like, Terry, go work with these guys. Teach them what a tuner is. And so so that was the start. So Terry just basically called me and was like, hey, have you ever heard of a guy named John Kurzweg? Meanwhile, I'm on top of a roof. Like I build houses. I'm on top of a roof doing, putting on sheeting or whatever. And I'm answering this phone. He's like, hey, and Freak of the Week is like the hit song right at that point. And I'd just seen Marvelous 3 at Floyd's, Meanwhile, this whole time I'm studying bands. I'm studying everything bands do. I'm just watching bands and studying everything they do. Green Day at La Villa, Everclear at Spinnaker, the Violent Femmes at Spinnaker as well, I think.
Yeah, man.
So I'm going to Panama City, at 15, 16 years old, driving that 57 Chevy everywhere. I'm going to concerts, and from Bluntstown to there is 60, 70 miles. Like, I'm going everywhere. Tallahassee, Floyd's. I'm going everywhere I can go and just studying bands and not knowing what I'm doing or why. I'm just like, one day, I've got to play at these venues. Like, I got to figure out what these people do and what the deal is. So I'm watching everything. Like, I'm not even watching them perform. I'm watching the circus that goes on around the whole thing. Like the opening bands, like not just the main band, like what's going on here? What's the deal? So I'm just taking everything in. And at the same time, Terry called me. He's like, hey, you ever heard of John Kurzweg? And went back to that 15-year-old in the truck. I was like, yeah, I have heard of John Kurzweg.
Full circle.
Why do I need to know John? Why am I interested in who John Kurzweg is? Who are you?
Uh-huh.
And he's like, well, I'm Terry Clark. And I was like, he's like, I know it sounds crazy or whatever, but like I played drums with John in a band, like, and whatever. And I'm like, okay, all right. So what? And I'm like, I don't understand where this is going. He said, can we just set up a face-to-face meeting or whatever? I was like, yeah, well, whatever. Like, I've got school. I was going to Chipola Junior College at the time. I was like, well, I've got, classes, whatever. He's like, well, I'll meet you there. Like, I'll meet you. So he met me at Ruby Tuesday in Mariana on a random Wednesday or something. And so he laid it out when we were there. He's like, look, like, he wanted to know what I was as a songwriter or whatever. So he challenged me, just like, hey, I need you to start coming over to my house. Like, bring me 3 songs a week or something.
Really? That's what he
and I was
proposed
like,
to you?
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that.
You bring them in the form of come and then execute them on an acoustic
guitar. Just play them acoustic for him. Just play them acoustic for him. Just play them acoustic. So I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I did that. Well, within about 3 weeks, we had already figured out that there was about 6 songs. Like, between the time that I met Terry and the time that World Outside came out and the time that we had a song on the radio was less than 6 months.
Wow. Wow.
We hadn't even played a show or done anything. Like, it was Terry immediately took us in the practice room and said, this is what you do. This is how you go buy tuners right now. Right? Well, I was like, no, I swear to God, we didn't know.
Yeah.
I would tune up the Dusty's bass, or I would take my guitar over to Dusty and let him tune it. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
yeah.
We didn't know. I didn't know that there was such a thing as a pedal tuner. I didn't know. So we did that. And it was a game changer.
Yeah, game changer.
Yeah. We still haven't played a show yet. I remember going up to the old cow house by the railroads over there where Brian was. It was during the day, and I was like, whatever. So I went and knocked on the door, and I was like, hey, man. And Brian answered the door, Giblet. And I was like, hey, I'm this band from Bluntstown, Socialburn. I come here all the time and watch bands. And, and I did. And I was like, but I have a demo. And, so I remember them letting us play the 3-piece there. And I'm so glad I don't remember anything about it because it was horrid, I'm pretty sure. But that was the first step before we met Terry. So that was the only Tallahassee show we had played before we met Terry.
Yeah.
The next Tallahassee show we played was with Presence at the old library.
And at this point, Presence was already established.
Presence was on the radio doing their thing.
Yeah, they were already there.
Yeah, we were playing catch-up.
That was your second show is opening with Presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's intimidating.
Other than some random ass talent show that we did, which I don't mean to say random ass, it was fun. It was great. It was good. But just other than that, like an actual club, book a show, go play the show. Backline, knowing how to backline, do whatever. We didn't know nothing. We didn't know nothing.
Yeah, man.
But Terry was there to teach us. Terry taught us everything. So as soon as we got up with those songs, that Terry was like, "Oh, we got to do something now." So we immediately booked studio time at where Eric and the boy Big Dismal, everybody was recording their stuff at the studio with what's his name, Dad's studio.
Godwin.
Yeah, Godwin's studio.
Yeah, Chris' dad.
Yeah. So Eric Durst is there, and I know Eric. I don't know Eric, but I know I watched Eric open up for other bands and whatever. So Eric's like a god to me. I'm like, okay, cool.
I want to hear some steel, some real songs about my life. I don't need a tailgate, a dirt road, or a girl in a 4-wheel drive. So put $1 in the jukebox and take me back in time.
like, yeah, man, how you doing? This is whenever he had just decided to do Big Dismal because he was in the rock phase. He had the other band. What was the name of that band?
Fuse.
Yes, Fuse. So Fuse was like, Fuse was popping too, and he was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go another direction, brother. I got this other thing I'm doing. And all right, cool. And then I remember
switched some gears. Man.
I heard the first tracks of Big Dismal before Big Dismal came out or whatever, and it was like, okay, this is awesome. This is good. Yeah, I like it. So we were doing World Outside during that time. Bobby Salvaggio, who was the engineer for John on the Creed stuff, and also with I think he was with the Truman. I think Bobby's stuff was the Truman. I can't remember. I think it was the Truman, but Bobby's going to hate me if I got that wrong. But either way, I love Bobby as a musician as well. I loved his songwriting and his songs. So I was completely psyched to even be like, again, we're X 1.5 CD disc days again still. I'm just like, just having fun. We're doing whatever. And so I just followed everybody's lead. Chris did too, and everybody did. Like Dusty was the pro in the band no matter what. So, and Brandon was just out of the door, just an awesome drummer forever. Like he's so good. And Dusty is lights out as well. So without those guys, there's no putting whatever I had in my head to the ground. Right. Yeah. And then Dusty can write songs too. Dusty's a good songwriter as well. But whatever we were going to be as Socialburn though had to radiate from whatever energy I was. I mean, I'm telling you, I was eating, sleeping, breathing. As soon as I decided not to take a football scholarship, it was a big deal. So it was like everything. I took it as far as like that was my job, was to get this band a gig.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, totally, man.
And when we play the gig, impress the hell out of people. Right. And so it was, we practiced for an hour. What's the golden rule they used to say, or whatever it is? Like if you do something for an hour a day for however many days,
10,000 hours, you master
or whatever,
something.
like you master something. Yeah. That's what we did without knowing it. We were doing 2 or 3 hours a day, just getting after it because Terry told me to. And I was like, okay, cool. That's what we'll do. And so that was the only way we were going to get better, was to put in hours. And then World Outside came out and we immediately got some radio play off of that. And it was like, okay, well, this is different. And so we ended up opening up for Mile, which is David LaRoe's old touring band that he toured with Noah Harto. Again, Noah Harto, the X 1.5 original Locals Only disc. Noah's one of my favorite songwriters ever. He's just a good dude. So I was blown away to be able to share the stage with him at such a young age. And we ended up convincing a bunch of local people, and like Dick, like I think Dick was mentioning, like he may have got a CD before that. Like it may have been before that show. He got a CD or something.
I got a CD too.
Yeah. But that
at Floyd's, you handed me a CD.
Yeah.
I got mine from Dustin in line for some sold out show at Floyd's, wrapped around the building. Dustin was handing out.
We would spend all week making CDs, or whatever it was. Like it was like,
how many CDs do you think you gave out? Do you know?
We did it for at least 10 shows probably. So I would say we had at least 200 discs per show. So
damn, yeah.
So I mean, but it was just little 3-song EPs. You know, it wasn't the whole thing.
But people have to understand, you were doing this at a time where it wasn't just accessible to go listen to somebody's music on streaming. Like that's not how it worked.
No, because I was looking for bands in Orlando. Like that's how I found Naive, or Still Naive, whatever you want to call them. I found them and linked up with them because I'm searching for bands on, the dial-up internet, trying to find like, where do we go from here? Like, and I was bringing in bands. I was getting my haircut the other day, and a Trust Company song came on, and I was like, huh. And the lady's like, whatever. I usually don't tell people anything about me. I just roll on with my day. But I was like, huh. I remember spring break 2002, meeting a band called 41 Down. I traded CDs with them because we were out in spring break giving out CDs, and they were like, oh, we're in a band too. I was like, hey, well, how you doing? Like, we'll trade CDs. So we did, and I kept in touch. So whenever we started getting label interest, the first band I thought of was like, this band is really good. And I called the guys and said, hey, we got labels coming in town. Come open a show for us.
That's fantastic.
And next time, and they did a few shows with us like that. And the next time I saw them was in New York, whenever we were doing a showcase in New York. And we passed them on the street. And I was like, hey, what are y'all doing? And they're like, I don't know. What are y'all doing?
That's great.
Well, we're here
man.
for a showcase, and they're like, we're here for a showcase. So they ended up signing. I think it was Geffen they signed with.
Oh, no shit.
So
Yeah,
wait, back up just a little bit.
Which ended up being Trust Company, not 41
Yeah.
Down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
Trust
yeah.
I vaguely remember Trust Company being 41 Down
Yeah.
before they were Trust Company.
That original CD they had was my favorite thing they ever done. But that's
Yeah,
probably just a kid in me because the first time I heard them, you know. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's probably somebody out there that's like, World Outside's the best thing Socialburn's ever done. And I'm like, no, The Beauty of Letting Go is by far and away the best thing I've ever been a part of. And I understand your love for where you are, or, you know.
Nostalgia
Any
is
of the
a
other ones,
strong beast, man. It really
Yeah.
is. But there is, as a musician, the growth that has happened and how much more is in something as you. And the new ear does perceive things very differently than the nostalgic. And
But
that's
is
why
it
you
not
can hear-
crazy how much music has not traveled far from our particular past?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it is.
The songs of today sound just like the songs of yesterday.
Yeah.
It's
Or
weird
archive.
because I
Like,
don't
it's
feel like it. I agree. Like, but if
It's
you
never
hear,
changed.
but like 60s, 70s, 80s, and then when it hits the 90s, I feel it's like the 60s has a sound, 50s has a sound, 70s has a sound. The 90s, it seems like in a lot of ways, it's kind of just still.
It's just
in that
mellowing.
Same. It's weird, right?
It's got to a lot of it I think is with recording technology, because the style of the time was definitely a unique thing, particularly with when you get from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s to the 80s. They're all very distinctive. Like you hear it and you know.
But how
you
crazy is it?
automatically know it's from there.
But how crazy is it that we can't sit down and record a doo-wop record?
Yeah.
We can't do it like they did it. We can't record a Buddy Holly record. We
Not
can't
like they
record a Jimi Hendrix record. Like we can't mimic it.
I feel like it's
Throwback bands
digital.
try it all the time. They can't do it.
You can't do it. I feel like it's digital and it's also dynamics. I think this is my opinion anyway. Like the dynamics, it's such a staple point that you have to have everything maxing out at the top range the whole time. So it's constantly punching because it's sitting in the mix of everybody else's stuff that's all doing that. So if you give it the dynamics that we used to have way back when, it's going to just be too low. So it doesn't punch sitting among, even when they boost the volume, it's different than mixing the end output at that high clipped, compressed pumping. And so with that loss of dynamics and it not being analog, it's a double whammy that just doesn't have that organic sound anymore.
No matter what you do, it just sounds weak if you're trying to portray what used to happen. Whereas whenever they did it, it was full because it was all tubes and everything was, it's crazy.
Everything had heat to it. All the power had a heating element to it. And I feel like the songwriting process these days has changed in the way that, it's really easy for a songwriter like any one of us to sit here in a home studio, write a song, program drum tracks.
It's easy for you, brother.
Get the groove. well, back then there was no way to do it. You had to get 6 guys in a room, and you had.
You were the dude like me in my head. You're the same. I was in my head. Like I can hear the music, but I don't know what to do with it. How am I supposed to portray it?
Yeah, it's there. I've always described songwriting as like I'm walking down a path through the woods. It's dark, and when I start, like I take a couple steps. Okay, there's the path. It's there. Now I just got to dig it up. Like it's already there. The song's already there. I'm just finding what it's supposed to be. It's like
weird. The song is always there, unless you have a curious mind. If you have a really curious mind, then you can really get out there and do some, Frank Zappa stuff or whatever. Like that's the thing where you the song is there.
That guy
I never have a vision of what the hell I'm going to make.
That's fine, though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just start, it's like, same thing if I try to draw something, I do a line, I don't know what I'm going to draw, and then I just see where it goes, and it turns, same thing with music, never have once I start playing something, I can hear ideas of where it can go next, but I never go to a guitar with an idea in my head. That my brain doesn't operate that way. But what I was wondering is that, I mean, well, for both of you guys, Dick, you're primarily focused on guitar. Do you hear riffs in your head before you get to the guitar? And Neil, do you think of guitar first ever, or is it always starting with a lyric and a melody vocally, and then you build music around that?
Mm.
Kind of a
Well,
double
I'm not a
question to
guitar
both of
player
you.
at heart, so it's got to be the melody first, and I'll find something that goes with it. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, because it's hard to say, because like a song like "Save Me," I don't think I just sat there and thought about the lyrics or thought about the melody. Like, I would have
Mhm.
probably had a riff going, probably,
Okay. Yeah.
but I don't document. I don't know. But like "Under My Chair" was written about. I'd played hide and seek with my daughter earlier that day, and she was hiding in front of the refrigerator on the rug, right?
Mhm.
And so it was basically like, it was just a riff on, like, in my head. I was like, oh, I searched for you underneath my chair. Somehow I thought I'd find you there, because I was having to pretend to look for her under the chair. Like, where are you? Like you're just playing with your child.
Yeah.
So that was that. The
was a
whole
great-
song is based around that.
There's a great song, and that was originally what we were going to make a video for, and
Yeah.
it was like so close. Should we do this one or Save Me? And when we went for
I think
Save Me,
Save Me was ready to go.
I
but-
agree, with how it worked out, but I still, that video in my head, it was still, there was.
So
still
then
something
that riff came up. So the riff wasn't there. It would have been, I had the idea, and I was watching, just got done with the Tom Petty documentary where they had done the, what's his name, who played the Gator guitar on that documentary that got released. Whatever it was. It's a great Tom Petty documentary,
I
live
did
show
not
and all
see
that.
it. I'll have to check it out.
But I was talking to my wife at the time. I was like, see, I just want to write a seven chord transition song like that. Like, that's just so good how it goes, whatever. And she's like, what the hell are you talking about, a 7-chord transition? And I was like, and then I played the chords to Under My Chair. And I was like, yeah, like that right there. I said, hang on a second. So within about 5 minutes, I had the song written, and I recorded there's still a YouTube video out there where I'm singing to my daughter that song, and she's playing in a basket and falls over, like whatever.
Oh,
but that's the original version of Under My Chair.
Were we talking about putting that in your video as a beginning or end?
Yeah,
your
probably,
music video?
yeah.
Because that would be,
Probably.
that's my idea right now. I'm assuming I probably thought of the same thing.
Well, put it together, but I'm sure with AI now, we can just tell it to do the rest after we have that.
Oh, dude,
We'll find
let's
its own
talk about
clip.
the AI thing for a second, man. Like, how it, our show is built, our sci-fi comedy scripted series, not the podcast, is built around this idea of fighting an evil AI. And we wrote this thing 4 or 5 years ago now, and it's taken this long to make this many.
So now you
episodes.
finally are starting to see what this AI thing is. What's the beast that you have been fighting?
That's the thing. It's like, we wrote this thing, and I mean, people talked about it, but we really went for it. And now everyone thinks it's obvious that that's going to be there. But when we were writing the script, it wasn't. It seemed like it was much further away. We thought the creative sector was supposed to be the safe zone. AI was going to take over all the, just the standard cut and dry jobs that were task oriented, and creative was like, we got that. That's the human spirit. And then just the last couple of years has been insane and scary and kind of disheartening. What do you think? I don't know. That's my opinion.
Well, I still think you have to have the human element to reel it in, because it doesn't feel genuine without some human element. So, or what I've seen so far, like, it gives you some kind of typecast, and then you're like, okay, that's cool, but why is this weird and why is that weird? Like, somebody's still got to go fix it.
Yeah.
Even if it's like, even if you give it say, hey, I want you to do some lyrics or whatever, put this to music, there's still a funky offbeat there that doesn't make any sense. There's still a weird usage of language that nobody would ever say those words in that pattern, and it never makes sense. So you've got to go. So our functionality is still intact, I promise you. That's what I think, because it's still way too dry. But I don't trust the kids we're raising, so you may be right.
I
got 3 of them.
I typically use South Park as my social barometer, right? So South Park did an episode. They haven't done an episode since season 26, but I just caught up. They had 2 made-for-TV movies released between 23 and 24, and the one in 23. It's 2 years old now, obviously, but it's called something about the Panderverse, like the Panderverse. But what's happening in this show is AI has dominated, and they did a play on, like, you go to Home Depot and the cliche, you got like some Hispanic guys looking for work. You're like, well, we'll do trim, we'll do carpentry. Well, it's flipped now. Like the handyman guys are millionaires because they're the only ones with a job still, and all the like data analysis guys, the tax guys, all these like nerdy guys who went to college, they're all looking for work outside of Home Depot because AI took their job, and it's like fucking spot on.
Yeah, it's intimidating. I think we're discussing the quality level that it's at now. We know it's going to get better. It's going to get more humanistic. But for me, I think the missing element that we'll always have is ultimately lies in the live performance experience, because nobody's going to go see an AI create a song or replay a song in front of them, other than that's the same as going to see a DJ.
No, you still have to have your Milli and your Vanilli. Milli Vanilli still has to exist.
That's right. You got to get some real people up there performing, and that part of it will still be real. A fake point. There's going to be a lot of people using AI to write material and then performing it as if they made it. That's going to be a part of it. It's definitely a part of the toolkit.
Who's going to be able to get the copyright? Is it going to tread back to the AI? Is it going to tread back to Grok or whatever? Or
dude, the AI shit. I'm sorry, the copyright issue is a real one, and it's getting squirrely. I think it's
because it's already hard enough to make any money in this space.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I think it's going to tie mostly to people. I feel do connect with a person and find we're all searching for somebody that inspires us. And the AI will never really fill that void for people, is the way I feel about it. And I think it might be a catalyst to bring more people out to live performance again. Not that that's really dropped off per se, but for smaller shows, I feel like it has. I feel like big shows still sell tons of tickets, but for smaller shows in general, up and coming artists, I think there'd be a lot more reason to support it and go out and see it live because it's something tangible and real. I think it all is going to hinge on the live performance part of it. And then from there, you have people that follow the art and they support you and they want to see what you make on the other end with your music, your videos and all that content. But I think overall, you don't have to, we were talking about this before the podcast. There's people that practically put their entire lives on video, and that's a whole other way of doing it. I have no desire for that, but I also do think that the Loch Ness Monster approach of music writing might be a thing. You can still do it if there's a fan base for it, but if you're trying to build a fan base, my opinion is I wish we had been more forthcoming in releasing tidbits and fragments of what we were working on, even if it was just the guitar part or just the drum part, the vocal idea, the lyric idea, and let people follow the journey along, because people aren't waiting for this big surprise hit. They don't know you exist. There's no reason to keep that buried. The
only thing that tells us it was a hit was because we heard it 60 times in a row while we were listening to the radio. Terrestrial does have its space, but I don't think it's got as much space as it used to. Like, that's the way we all grown up. But today's kids, they don't know. They see it in a clip on a small clip on TikTok or whatever, and that's what makes it a hit. It's over.
Which doesn't matter what. Be releasing those fragments along the way.
I remember whenever we got a record deal or whatever, it was me like, dude, you got to cut 30 pounds right now. Like, you got to be the sexy front guy. Oh yeah. And so it was like, but now look, Jelly, like, doesn't matter what you do, like what you look like. Every artist I see is plump, pudgy or whatever. Like, what?
And that's a sign of the times too. It's a lot nowadays. Things like that are a lot more accepting. It's not such a strict, policy with social norms anymore.
Yeah. Well, I missed the boat on that one.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. I got in shape when I turned 30, but when I was like a young, starving guy in bands, I was not any specimen of the male species.
I was just bulky because I was a middle linebacker. I was bench pressing 360 pounds and squatting 600. I was just a bulky dude. Like, I looked like, So it was like, oh, dude, we got to lean you out. And so we did it. I mean, we went and we did it. We did what we had to do.
Yeah, I remember. I think by the time I started seeing you guys live at Floyd's, I don't remember you being like a You didn't
Yeah,
strike
me
me.
either.
You strike me as a large individual now that I know you and I've actually met you like in
Yeah.
person in conversation. But seeing you on stage, I never got the opinion like, oh, that guy's a monster. He's giant, you know?
Yeah. I was more like Ash back in the day. I was a lot more
Yeah.
spelt. But spelt wasn't looking good for a croon. You know, you couldn't picture Kurt Cobain as spelt, right? So
No, yeah.
so they were like, hey, you know, you gotta fit the mold a little better, whatever. And I'm like, well, mold? What do you mean a mold? And they're like, yeah, well, you know, you gotta fit the mold, you know. I'm like, I don't. What do you mean?
We're not
Are the songs not good enough?
You, son. Yeah, we're not explaining that to you, son. We said what we said.
Yeah,
But
no,
no.
that's when you realize, oh shit, I'm in a machine. Oh shit,
Well, hey, wasn't
What have
it?
I
I
done?
mean, I remember it being a big
what
deal.
have I done?
Blues
Oh.
Traveler, right? They busted onto the scene, and their first music video didn't even really have them in it.
That was
You remember this?
a parody. That was a parody. I love that video. That was
Well, same thing. Hey, listen,
and-
don't forget Flagpole Sitter. Flagpole Sitter, they hit that dude too.
Oh, really? I'm not familiar with them. Who is it?
That was Flagpole Sitter. Paranoia, paranoia, everybody's coming to get me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm all crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even know
Yeah.
the TV.
They
But
played.
anyway, it was a huge hit. But whatever it is, like they hit. If you weren't the prototype, like you kind of,
Yeah.
kind of, they kind of hit you.
Yeah.
You know?
But now it's about character. I mean, it literally can be anything. In fact, it's just anything to look different, because everything that was stock is like, so people just wash right through it because it's so. I think pop still, and there's a lot of pop songs I like, but
I love everything. It doesn't matter to me.
right, like I like
catchy
every kind of music,
and
but I
hooky, I'm in.
think
It's
pop
good. It's good.
is the most generous for the formula. You know, as far as like aesthetically, even when it's something different, it's still usually built around a certain, like what we're talking about. In general, most of the people,
There is a mold that they're trying to fit everything into.
Yeah.
Yes. Whereas with rock, I think it's gotten it's anything. It really is. It can be anything. The visual element has nothing to do with what the players look like. It's just, is it interesting? Are they acting? You know, do they have the right energy, the magic, something that sticks out? You know, but just going back to that live performance thing one last time, I mean, just keeping in mind, like, versus the AI thing, you know, the reason I went and got a guitar was because of a live performance. It wasn't because of the album, you know, that I listened to. And it sounds like it was the same for you. And I believe it was the same for you, Dick, right? Like, wasn't it a live? I mean, we liked music, but was it going to see a live show that triggered like that's what I want to do?
It was images of that. It was music videos that did it for me. I didn't see a live show. The first live show I saw was Sugar Ray 311 and Incubus at the Civic Center. That was the first live rock show that I saw. And I was
during that time, that was probably a pretty good show.
That was amazing.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was
a good show.
I had to posthumously realize that it was Incubus because my memory of that show told me I went to go see 311 and Sugar Ray, which was great. And this opening band, I remember a guy with dreadlocks up front, and they were kind of heavy. And at the time,
well, this is pre their actual hit, right? Just like Sugar Ray was a punk band before Sugar Ray did their thing, you know?
Yeah. So Sugar Ray had just came out with their breakout hit, whatever that was. I can't remember.
And Incubus slowly followed suit.
They had not come out with Pardon Me yet. They
were they on the same label? Because I bet the same A&R guy had the same idea.
Probably.
They probably were.
Because I remember they were too heavy for me back then. I think I was like 14. They were heavy.
And it was kind of heavy it was kind of heavy that really didn't make any sense. It was almost like it's almost like you were being heavy just to be heavy.
Listening back, like my taste now, I love it. Like hands down, that would have been the highlight for me.
Yeah.
Now, but then it was like, these guys are cool, but I don't really get it. It was only a few years ago. I told Ash this all the time. Like I went and looked. I was like, who was that opening band? And I looked up the tour list from like '94 or whatever. I was like, fuck me, it was Incubus. The first band I ever saw in my life was Incubus.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, man. No, it's the live performance. I think keeps it alive. And I say this as somebody that hasn't even gotten to perform for 12 years now.
Yeah, you
I
need to
have
get
not
it.
been on a
You
stage
need
in
to do
total.
it.
Well, it's
I'm going to play a show before this year's out. in
If
some
I can
fashion or
whore,
form.
if I can whore myself out to every Tallahassee band in town just to go jam once.
well, I can tell
sometime
you.
a
I
year.
mean, just give Robertson a call over there and get a slot in Club LA. Like, you know, you can open up for the cover bands. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
I got to be with a group. You know, the Cue the Muses project. Is
Oh
so
yeah. Well,
wild
you may
and
have to
zany 'cause-
revert back to the original lineup with the previous band and just rock that.
get Kill Cluso back
Yeah.
together. We've talked
You know,
about
and
it
Kill
so many times.
Cluso, the first time I heard Kill Cluso was I had taken a break from music. I don't know. It was a St. Patrick's Day or something that was going on, and Kill Cluso was playing Inside Floyd. And
Yeah.
I was
we
playing on the
St.
back
Patty's Day.
deck or whatever, acoustic, opening up for damn Quad City DJs or something.
Okay. We played a St. Patty's Day.
Yeah. But that was the first time I remember seeing you guys. But what's odd about anytime you're doing, like, a lot of people were like, oh, you know, we opened up for you and we did this and we did that. Well, in the Socialburn days, just like with Core, like I was so happy the other night at the Sevendust show to watch Core on a big stage sound like a real band. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in like the sound was just there. Everybody was tight. Everything was dialed in. Eddie had that, you know, the mix was, or not Eddie, but Shaggy had the mix just blistering, you know. And it's like, okay, this is how I always envisioned Core, but I never got a chance to watch Core because we were always, every time you turn around, hey man, what's going on? Like,
Yes.
like if you're in the old Floyds or whatever, like if you're hanging out, man, so you just have to go hide backstage and whatever, and all the local bands are like, hey man, you know, how was our set? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like it was
Sounding good back here.
yeah, like man, we got our own hang-ups, you know.
Yeah.
Like the same hang-ups you had before the show, like we have them now. Like we're jittery too. Like we're trying to get ready to play a show after you get done. Like
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we're hoping you go long actually, so we got a few more minutes. Like there's you know, but it's like a lot of the local bands are the bands you played with during that whole time. Like you didn't get to enjoy them like those bands, like whenever they were done, they put their stuff away, they got to come and watch you. Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
That was when I got to absorb the other bands we were playing with as if it was post show.
Yeah.
Pre-show,
Yeah.
I'm
It's like
just
those are
my
the
head
best. Like
was
I kind of realized that on that Sevendust tour whenever we were touring with Sevendust and Nonpoint. And, you know, again, bands that I saw Sevendust in '96 on the Roar tour, playing to 6 people in Panama City in the parking lot of La Vila. And I remember watching that band going, wow, this is a band that is unreal. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a CD and talking to Lil Jon then. And, you know, never in a million years did I think later on in life I was going to be touring with this guy. And even like the other night, like I just show up and Lil Jon walks out of the at post show or whatever to the little area there. He's like, are you kidding me? All day. What are you doing? And I'm like, like, what's up, brother? You know? I mean, we hung out, but like it's just weird that. So that wasn't the first tour, but like that was one of the first tours where I kind of realized like the opening bands don't realize how much of a chore it is for the bigger bands or the mainline bands. Like, even though it's like it's kind of prissy to say because like, yeah, well, what do you got to do? You just got to play your hit songs, you know, good for you, you know, whatever. Like your fans are already here, you're entertaining them, but you don't realize how much glad handing you have to do on the way to all the, like you never get time to yourself. You never get that alone time or whatever. And every time you turn around, somebody's saying, hey man, what's going on? Like everybody's trying to use you to get a leg up. There's a constant thing of like, you know, even though none of us are big, the smaller fish are still trying to churn their way into the circle or whatever.
Yeah, and you're trying to get anything you can, man. It's just so hard to get any opportunity.
At the time we were touring with Sevendust, we had lost our record deals. 90 bands got fired on the same damn day from WEA, which is Warner Brothers Electra Atlantic, which we signed with Electra. We didn't sign with WEA. You know what I mean?
Wow. 90 bands? 90
yes,
bands?
90 bands in one day. Yep.
Holy shit! What? And I can't remember what happened. What was the stimulus? It was just that
They closed it down. They closed up shop on the.
Well, basically, like a company like Mitt Romney's company back in the day, where they would acquire companies or whatever. Like basically the same thing had happened. They acquired and they acquired all of them and joined them together, right? So you have, they had just given so and so $16 million. Madonna's on her own thing, but like there's just whoever. Like they had spent gobs of money on whoever. We had our Down had been released. We were doing great. We were on tour with Seether, just churning out 10,000 records a week, having a blast. We were on tour with them for like 3 months, okay? And we're steadily just staying 10,000 records a week. We're climbing the charts. We get all the way up to number 8, and all of a sudden, we don't know this is happening behind the scenes, but there's chatter. People know that there's blood in the water with the company. So our A&R guys and whoever, all the people in our company that love us, that are supporting us, are like, shit, it's just like we need to switch gears. We need to do something to keep, like, what we need to do something, like, even though like we got it number 8, we don't think we can get it to number 1. So let's just switch gears. We got a top 10 single out of the deal. Like, play it, call it safe. We're good here. Instead of trying to hold pat and keep it there and keep us on tour. Seether invited us to go out on the tour where Smile Empty Soul came out, Trapped. It was Smile Empty Soul, Trapped, and Seether. It would have been Trapped, Socialburn. We would have been direct support. Socialburn would have been on that tour as well. There were the 4 bands. Seether wanted us to come out with them, and our label said, "No, you're doing the WIA tour." We're like, "What the hell?" Or not the WIA tour, the WB tour. We're like, "What are you talking about? The WB tour?" "No, you're doing the WB tour." I'm like, "We're not doing the WB tour." And we fought it like crazy. Like, "No, we're not doing it." They're like, "You're doing the WB tour, and we're releasing everyone because it's a lighter song, and we're going to let everyone's going to be the lead single, and we're doing the WB tour, which is go across college campuses across the nation and play." We played with the Format, who eventually became huge. I don't know if the Format is ended up being some nights I wake up in my channel. Some nights I it was a huge pop hit.
I believe you 100%.
But anyway, he's got a song with Pink. He's had huge hits.
Okay.
But he was on that tour. The band was called Fun. And
was
so
that the
it
right
was
fit for you guys compared to everything you described on the other leg? If you'd been able to do that,
no,
that was exactly your demographic.
That was the beginning of the end. We had no clue. We knew we didn't want to do it. It didn't matter. You're just playing in a field, like you're playing just on a green somewhere, and you're just a stage is set up, and either people show up or they don't. There's
no comparison to people that have paid ticket price to come in and see. This is what we're here for.
I mean, fire that dude, whoever's idea that was. But it was commitment to Warner Brothers. So there was Warner Brothers, Electro Atlantic, like it was all fixing to get stuck together. So there was a big push that somebody needed to show that they did something, and they needed pictures to show that, hey, we put a project together, and this project was successful, and we're doing it. And they brought out their talent. Like, I met the people from Smallville. Like, all those people were on tour with us. Like, they would bring out people at each thing, but it's like, that's not our thing. Like, okay, cool.
This is a cool thing, but you got the square peg and the round hole over here. Like,
so, and our whole thing was like, well, you should be the next single, or Pretend should be the next single. Like, we're like, okay, we got Down's hitting, like, let's do. And we had just shot the video for Down, and as soon as we shot the video, they're like, you're doing the WB tour. Like, we're switching gears and going this way. You're doing everyone. And so whenever we went on Carson Daly, which was around that same time, we did everyone. We didn't do Down.
Performing everyone off their album, Where Are You? Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Socialburn. With all the times you ran away, I never thought that you would say, why the one who's lonely now?
Because we were trying to push everyone. And everyone still got in the top, like, I think it got up to 12 or 13 on the active rock charts or whatever. But still, it was like, they had no business. Like, you should have been the next single, and this is before Hoobastank, right? And then you got Hoobastank coming out, like, whatever, like, you would have just spit right in me.
So take back those years that you try to hide. Relax yourself. Don't lose your mind. And why can't you see?
Like, it would have been perfect.
Yes.
And especially if we were out on tour with Seether, because all the rock DJs are like, hey, you guys are back in town with Cedar. Like every time we showed up at the radio station, it was just like you could just smell it. It was like, what are y'all doing? Like, why did y'all release everyone? Like, what is your label doing? They were like, we want to keep playing down. But the label's like, you're not playing down anymore. Play everyone. Like, we're pushing everyone. See, that's how the inside baseball is.
Story.
So, but at the same time, we don't know that this label's getting bought. Like, the people at the label know that there's a problem. So everybody's trying to cut CYA and trying to figure out a way to we got to find a hit, and I got to be the one holding on to this hit. Like Jet's getting released now. So whoever had Jet is okay. Like those guys are going to be fine. But only for a little while. It didn't take much longer. That was done too.
Right.
Like, but it was like they were all just like, they smelled blood in the water. Like, oh shit, we're gone. We're out of here. We're looking for a job. And they had brought Rick Ocasek in from the Cars. He was run, and that was another thing. Rick Ocasek came in, and he was like the president or whatever, vice president, whatever it was at this point of A&R. So Rick was kind of in the same thing. It was like, yeah, we're going to do the WB tour. You're going to go do this. Like you're going to switch gears and do this. And like, what are you going to tell the guy from the Cars you're not going to do it? Like,
right?
What are you doing? I remember being in a meeting and just being like, what are you like? This is crazy. And so it was what it was. We didn't know. And so we went and started recording demos. And, I released a song the other day, Lasting Memory, which was on those demos, where all of a sudden, like, we're still in the middle of everyone's cycle. They're like, hey, go. I had A&R guys say, hey, you got any new songs? And I'm like, that's weird. What do you mean, do I got any new songs? Why are we talking about a second record? Like, we're barely into this cycle. What are we doing? And I was like, well, yeah, no, I haven't been writing. Why would I be writing? I'm touring right now.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, well, I kind of need something to show him. I'm like, show who? And I'm like, okay.
All out of total left field.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, so this is interesting. So it ends up going, so we end up, throw some songs together and we throw some old cuts or whatever. And like we get Kurzweg comes down and we go in, whatever. An Important Man studio, but I forget the name, and I hate that I forget the name. I can't remember everything, but I love him.
Yeah.
Love you, Chris. I can't remember last name. Sorry.
Dude, I mean, it's like, you hear it was this era that me and Dick kind of missed of the 90s where there were all the signings happening. I mean, you could actually really get signed, and we kind of came in right around the early 2000s. And
yes, we were the last vestige of that. Like it was over with after our little class. Like, and it's not our fault. It's just that was the culmination of the Napster and everything else.
Right.
Like they didn't know what to do at this point.
This was the transition to streaming. I mean, you really were at that. Like, this is a mark in history.
We were still pre MySpace. Like I didn't have any, like we didn't have any, like I still don't have any social media following whatsoever. As far as like most bands that came 2 years after us have hundreds of thousands of fans at all times,
right?
Because those fans could access them.
Like
whatever we had, whenever we were coming through,
it was right on the. It was right on the cusp. It was right on the cusp.
There was no attaching those fans to you as a product.
Yeah,
because that was the transition from the time that I got the Dustin handed me a Socialburn CD, standing in line in Floyd's. Then I decided I wanted to be in a band, but my band decision was, okay, I'm 17. I moved out of the house, moved to North Carolina, and I started a band up in North Carolina.
Was that a good place for music?
While I was up there, I saw Present CD in Target, and I was in the Target looking at the CD. I said, hey, I know these dudes. They're from my hometown. And, I think I was up there with Dave doing Delayed for 3 years. And then when I came back to Florida, it was different. Everything had changed. You guys were gone. I think by that time, you guys were gone on tour probably. And, it was just a whole different game. But my first show at Floyd's was well after all the signings. Nobody was getting signed. Well, there were still local bands grinding.
There was five bands got signed in that little 6-month period. And it was basically, the frenzy started between Presence and us. Like, and X1.5 worked their ass off. Like everybody there worked their ass off to get the music on the radio. Like it was a group effort, and everybody rode the boat together, right? Like we provided quality songs for them to play. That was up. Like you said, the level of the the volume of the record. Like, you know, that's what you
Yeah.
don't realize with local bands is like, yeah, you went in and recorded it yourself on your whatever, but like you couldn't master it to a level to where we can't play it next to Blur Song 2.
Right.
Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And we can't do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there's such a fall off. Like,
Totally.
they know that somebody will change the radio station, whether that's a great song or not. They just,
Right.
it won't feel the same.
Yeah.
100%.
It's not going to hit.
You know, that's the inside baseball of things anyway. You know?
No, it's 100% a real scenario that, you know, you have to be understand, and it's got to sit in the mix with the full lineup of stuff, or they just can't play it. It's not even that, but at the same time,
it's not that they don't like the song or like the music
Right.
or like the band.
Right.
That's got nothing to do with it. It's
Right.
all about the sonic quality of it versus they can't have a drop off, or else they're even though the PD is the PD, there's another person above them, and that person's going to ring in and say, "Hey, what's this?"
Right. Right.
You know.
Well,
Even nowadays when you upload to like DistroKid or CD Baby or whatever, all these self distribution sites, they all level match and alter whatever you upload to a degree. You can pay for it to do like a mastering or whatever.
Yeah.
Silly, but they always level adjust it so that it matches the rest of the platform.
Because if you're on Spotify, they're going to directly put you to a streaming platform. Like, you need to compete with those bands whenever you pop on. Like,
yeah.
And the thing is that
go ahead,
man.
No.
I was just going to say, like, even in those playlists, after these apps have gone ahead and helped even out the sound, you still hear the drop off in quality for some of
you
the
do.
apps. Yeah. But then on the other hand, you know,
sometimes that's a good thing though to me. Like, I hear it and I'm like, okay, I like this. Like, thank God, I hear something different.
When it's right, it's right.
Well, it opens the door. The thing about it is it opens the door to dynamics. I mean, I feel like that's the biggest thing missing in recordings modern day is dynamics. And I feel like
Radiohead creep is what I call it.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I honestly think Tool is one of the bands that still, the way that they record, their albums sit a little bit low. They've got the vocals sitting a little bit lower. They've got it down, and you have to kind of crank it up a little bit louder to get it to match, but they're an album band. They know that they want you in for the full album. And I think that's why their sound quality still feels pretty different. I think the dynamics in a Tool album and there's other bands, I'm sure, this is just one of my favorite bands that still stays true to this concept of having the dynamics, because you won't hear the vocals if you don't turn it up more.
Yeah.
With a Tool album, they know what they're doing. They're forcing you to have to.
It's on purpose. Yeah,
it's 100% on purpose. So you're gonna have to feel it.
The problem is my kids couldn't hang with it because they don't like anything above 15. Like, they're just like, what? It's loud, Pop. That's loud.
Really?
Pop, why is it so loud? Because I can't hear anymore.
Man, we've blown past our normal hour. I would love to just keep chatting away. Neil, we have to have you back on again, man, if you're down for it.
Yeah, anytime.
Before we got on this podcast, when we were first corresponding, or maybe you put a social media post up. You said maybe that there was like some new, Neil Alday Further South stuff being written.
Yeah, I have yes. Well, it's not, it's already done. It's in the can. It's just a matter of getting mixed and mastered and whatever. Like,
hell yeah.
Because, like, basically, what was it? I guess the 2020 pre-COVID, whatever you call that, post-COVID, whatever. Pre-COVID, I guess, we were in the studio. Me and Terry just went in with Chan Leonard just to do two songs with him. I was like, we're talking dynamics. I was like, I work with Kurzweg all the time. I was like, well, it's not that I don't want to work with Kurzweg. It's just timing was whatever it was. I was like, well, I've got these two songs that I kind of want to play with on a more acoustic level, sonically or whatever. But like, he did a great job with them. It's really good stuff. One of them is the song that I was working on the night we were recording the Batman video.
I remember. I was just thinking about that song today.
Yeah,
I don't want
Wine
to say
Drunk.
the lyrics. So.
Wine Drunk. Wine Drunk is one of the songs. Okay. And it's really good, and it's cool. It's got some fiddle on it. It's got a bunch of different stuff going on. But it's really good, and the drums are real swampy and low tech and whatever. It's cool. And there's another song. Oh God, what's the? I can't remember the name of the song now, but it doesn't matter. But there's another song, and that song is one of my favorite things I've ever written.
Oh, cool!
It's just about it. I just envision being like some post-Civil War like coming home from war, almost like Cold Mountain thing or whatever. Like,
Sweet.
it's basically that, like, that song's this real I don't know, Appalachian, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's just a real cool thing. So it was just all acoustic.
Yeah.
Well, let me just see if I can just play with this. And regardless, at the end of the day, I have kids and I have 30 or 40 songs that I've never recorded. Okay. So at some point I've got to find time or money to just go ahead and record these songs. So that was basically like, okay, because it's a little bit, Kurzweg isn't the cheapest option, right? And no knock on Kurzweg, but I mean, we got to get him from Santa Fe. We got to get him from Santa Fe, get him here. Like, it's not just the easiest thing in the world, because I like to work with John when I'm working with John. I don't want to do it telepathically, right? We get in a room together.
Yeah. You got to have that space.
But I also have already recorded a couple songs with John that we never released. So there's going to be those 2 songs and then another 2 songs. One of them is High Life, which is one of the, it's a party song. And the other one is, it's called Rock and Roll, which is also, it's my wife's favorite song, which, I don't know if you guys like her taste or not, but that's her favorite song is Rock and Roll.
We'll find out.
Having a song that your wife likes is important.
I've got very few of those.
Yeah, but it's really good. And it's going to be a good album. I just got to figure out, like, I don't like the number 4. That's the one thing that is throwing me off. Like, I really want to add at least one more song or something. So
Five song.
Or I'll just release it as is, because we can release it single wide. Like, it just here's High Life, here's Wine Drunk.
Honestly,
here's whatever.
That works.
And just do an AI video or do a lyric video or do whatever, and just like, that's the other side of the coin. But I also want to release, like, I want to go back and release it as a record. Like, I want to go to CD Master, whatever it is, and just say, hey, print up 100 records, and I want a record. And I want to go back and do. We did 2 Socialburn records with them, and we also did the last Further South record with them too. Like, I think we'll go back and do records of all that stuff, and just have the prepubescent Socialburn records.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the Further South record. But Further South, I don't know whether or not. I don't know. Dale's ready anytime. And I ended up injuring my hand and my finger or whatever. The reason I've been out of commission since post-COVID, I think you can see that finger's kind of jacked up. That one.
This is a saw? What happened?
No, that was just a freak accident where I had a hand truck, and I was pulling it into the backyard with about 500 pounds worth of weight, and I ended up hitting the side of my camper with just that finger in between a middle.
Yeah.
So,
damn.
Yep. It did. And so that was fine. And then later on, I had an injury. Like, as soon as that one was kind of done, I was like, okay, cool, I can do whatever. I was outside playing football with my son, and just decided to flip up the ball and then catch it. And after I caught it, I was like, wow, I kind of did something weird there. So, like, this finger, which is a big finger on the C chord or the G chord, any chord you want to chord, I feel like I broke something inside this fingertip.
Shit, man. Dude. It's
been
too easy to break now.
It's been like that. That was 2 years worth of recovery. Like, I'm finally to where I can do this with my hand. Like, I could only do this with my hand for a long time. So I'm finally down to where I can, do something. So now I'm kind of in the season of, like.
Did you know what happened to Shaggy and his injury?
No.
Dude, he was telling me about it. He got electrocuted. And he literally, like, fried his spinal column.
Yeah,
or like one of his discs. Yeah. And he's like, he can't open his hands all the way. Like, this is an effort. He can finally do this, but they actually clasp. I was like, oh my God, man. You never know when you're going to lose your physical ability. Do it while you can. It was put these songs down.
It was lightning. So that's why I say, like, at this point, like, I'm just like, whatever I've got to do. Whether I've got to go get in the studio with Kyle and just get Kyle to go ahead and, like, we got to go document some songs and do whatever. And if I want to send him to Kurzweg and let him mix them, or Kyle's doing a great job over there.
He sure is. He's grown a lot with it. And I mean, some of those mixes are just dynamite, especially if you can give him the time, I mean, I know he has to crank some things out in a day. People are going in there trying to do a full album and stuff. But if he gets to spend his time on a song, the dude's got the skills, man. I mean, there's some great mixes coming out of there right now.
Well, I've got 30 to 40 songs that are just trapped in limbo, and it's like, what do you do?
Yeah,
What do you
yeah,
do?
totally. But we got to see him come to
And
the
I think
light of
Terry
day.
just had surgery. Terry's going to have surgery or had just had surgery. So that's going to be a couple months out. So I think I've got to figure out a fifth acoustic song, or I've got to release the Brett Hessler song.
Oh, you have a song recorded with Brett, or it has Brett
Mhm.
on it, or oh
Both,
shit,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
we've got to release our Brett Hessler
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
You know, he's on
Yeah.
the fifth song.
Yeah.
I might have to send that song to you privately.
Yeah.
Just
You do.
hear him.
Yeah.
No,
He
Brett's
killed it.
amazing.
He
Well,
is so
on a
good.
quick
Anything
side note,
Brett's on
we'll
is
cover
awesome.
Brett real quick too. Like, so Brett
Do
basically, I got plenty of stories. We can carry this on other podcasts or whatever later on. I got plenty of other stories.
Give me one of them for sure.
But Brett, Brett randomly, I think it was probably, I was already married, so this would have been post 2009. But we used to live in Clarksville, and Jen's originally from Orlando, so we would go visit her family in Orlando for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So we're down in Orlando for Christmas. I remember seeing a Facebook post by Brett. I didn't know Brett other than whenever we toured together, we would cross paths. Like, I knew all the Creed guys in the other bands or whatever, but like Brett was kind of in that circle, and then Dark New Day was its thing. And then so like I'd cross paths with all these people that were in these bands and whatever. Like, we all played festivals together, like, and we all knew of each other. And I didn't know whether Brett knew me from Adam seriously or not, you know. So I happened to see a post. I was like, well, I was like, so I went on Facebook Messenger or whatever, just messaged like, hey bud, this is Neil from Socialburn. I'm in Orlando right now. You know, love to hang out or whatever. If you want to hang out, whatever. And he immediately responds, hey man, well, I'm in the studio right now. If you want to come hang, you can. I was like, okay, well, where's the studio? Studio was less than a mile away from where I was sitting.
Wow.
Oh, I was like, cool, I'll be there in just a second. I was already buzzed. Don't tell the cops I was drinking and driving. But I said, all right. It was like 11 o'clock at night at the time. And I was like, cool. Jen, everybody, whatever. I'm going to hang out with Brett.
At 11.
Yeah, I'm going to hang out with Brett, who I know from Burgos Merlot because I had those white eyes, that one year. So I was like, I know every Burgos Merlot song there is. I'm going to hang out with Brett. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
And so because I didn't care about the rest of the stuff he's done. And like Burgos Merlot was, I was a fanboy. Nostalgia. Go back to nostalgia. That's what you knew somebody was.
Yeah.
So whether that was his proudest or not, I'll never know. I mean, he'd probably tell you, yeah, he was proud of that. He was proud of that. So
he was definitely proud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
As far as that.
Yeah.
So that's his baby.
Yeah, so I went to the studio and I'm there and he's like mixing or whatever. He's hanging out and we're just hanging out and talking. Well, I found out he's a cabinet. I was doing cabinets at the time. And he's like, yeah, well, my dad's a cabinet maker. I'd build cabinets, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, we're talking, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, well, I've got the Neil Alday Further South stuff going on, whatever. Like, I've got this thing that I'm doing with Kurzweg. Like, so he's interested in what I've got going on with Kurzweg. I think he did work with Kurzweg a couple times. Maybe even on the Burgos thing, I think he was trying to, like, there was different demos that may have been whatever. Like, he was in the Tallahassee realm as well from the Georgia. Like, it wasn't that far away to be in Tallahassee and hear about this guy and go check out things.
Alabama boy, I think.
Yeah, Alabama, whatever. So it ended up being, well, cool. This is cool. Well, I've got this weird song that I'd like to record or whatever, but like I plan on doing it like in a real swampy way or whatever. But at the same time, I just feel like it's just a badass rock song. Like, what are we doing? Like, let's just do that. He's like, well, listen, man, because I was doing granite tops at the time too. And he's like, well, I need a granite top for a vanity I built or whatever. Like, why don't we swap out you do my top and I'll do you a song. I was like, all right, cool. So then we scheduled it. I did. I got his top, put it on there. He built a beautiful cabinet. He did a great job. Like, he's very, very good at cabinet making, by the way.
Awesome.
He's phenomenal. He's as meticulous at that as he is with music. It's really good.
Yeah.
And so I was like, cool. So I called Terry. I was like, Terry, we got to go to Orlando and record with Brett. And so just me and Terry go. And Terry doing the drums. Brett does the bass parts and the guitar parts and the backup harmony.
All the bass on ours.
Yeah, and he sat there, and just worked out all the parts. And all of a sudden just one takes this jamming guitar solo, like, all right, cool, that's it. Sounds nothing like anything I would have ever done. But at the same time, it's like it's an amazing little thing. And while we're there, Will Hunt comes in. He visits while we're there, and I knew Will Hunt from the different bands as well. And Will was originally a Tallahassee guy anyway.
Yeah, Eli.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up hanging out with Will or whatever, and Will's just chilling, yeah, man, going out to Evanescence. He's out there with a couple other buddies of ours in Evanescence as well. And it's like, yeah, well, good for y'all. We'll see y'all later. I'm going to go back to normal life.
Go back doing his top, his cabinet top.
Yeah. Well, but at the same time, there's no part of me that ever wants to tour ever again. Touring is,
it's a young man's game.
It's a Groundhog Day that I'm not into Groundhog Days. I like making beautiful things appear and growing things and seeing a product, like going and waiting and not knowing what town you're in, not being able to experience the town, just waiting for sound check and then doing sound check, and all of a sudden we got 3 hours to the doors. Now doors are here. Now you got the same, you go shake hands, do whatever. Like I don't want any part of it.
When I first got into music, I had every desire to do everything you're describing about with going on tour.
Me too.
That was what I wanted to do. And then I had a kid, and over the course of about 2 years, I was like, I don't want to leave this. I don't want to not see my kid grow up. So I just lost the desire, and I was like, I really like the idea of playing, and I want to write stuff. But every year, less and less I wanted to be on the road and be away from my family and miss my.
You got to be a different animal to be a road dude. Like it's either you're making so much money that you can't deny it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because that is a thing. Like, I mean,
that's a thing.
If somebody come and offer me $1 million tomorrow, I'd be like, oh, well, you know what?
I'll go on tour for a year.
$1 million does not stretch far in a year, but let's go do it.
Well, that's right.
Because touring,
now.
I'm telling you, touring at $1 million won't last long, but like, we'll figure it out.
We've got too many conversations to still have, dude. We have to have you back on, but especially whenever you're going to release your stuff, you want to come back on. We'll talk about it. I'm going to be making clips out of this episode too, so there'll be multiple things of this coming out over the course of the next month. And man, it was great catching up with you. And we ran into each other. Just everyone knows we ran into Neil at the Sevendust show where Dick was opening up with Core. He was playing with Core, and it was like a big reunion, man. Got to see many people I hadn't seen in a long time. It was a really magical night, and it was really.
And
cool
I was sitting there cutting. I was just working, building a house earlier that day, and I was like, wait a minute, Sevendust and Death and Core's opening up. Oh my God.
That's kind of unusual, that's not every day.
Well, it was like an hour, and you're like an hour and a half drive. It's like, I was like, you know what? I bet it. A lot of people thought, I'm going. Screw that. I'm going. Like, don't be such an old man. Go hang out.
How good a time was it, though? I mean, we're all up in.
It was a great time.
Got the little booth up there. So fun.
Yeah. Well, I made it.
It was great seeing you. I'm glad to get to shake your hand again.
Hell, Cousin Teddy was over there puking in the parking lot by the time I drove his ass home. He slept the whole way.
That's awesome.
But he did beat me to the job site. I'll give him that. Well, you slept.
All right, let's end on that. Neil, great talking to you, man.
Great
Thank you for the conversation.
Yeah.
Anytime.
And guys, thanks for listening. This has been episode 72 of the MuseCast with Dick and Ash and our guest Neil Alday. Peace out.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying the podcast, that's awesome. We really appreciate it. But you should check out our full actual web series if you have not seen it yet, because this is where we put all the effort into a production. It's a sci-fi comedy, but we're a rock band, and so we put music videos inside of each episode.
No views but your own easy escape. Don't pay no mind to what they say. They're in their own world anyway.
Each episode features a new singer on each song that we unveil within the episode.
And will they even dare?
All
all unique singers from the Southeast region, most of them from right here in the Florida Panhandle, and all independent, unsigned, unknown artists until now.
No matter how hard I try, turn it down.
Premise of the show, Ash and I are a couple of bonehead guitar players living off the grid, trying to save humanity, which has been brainwashed from an artificial intelligence stripping us away of our creativity and our creative spirit.
We developed a mind travel machine to go into people's brains and collaborate with their inner muses, bringing back music that is completely organic from human muse collaborations. Enter Cue the Muses. You know what, we're kind of getting sidetracked, man. There's only so much time for frequency absorption. We need to hop on it. Can you fire up the cadence tubes?
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and get my shoes tied.
Okay. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the little bell. Tell YouTube that we matter, that you like us, and that you want to see more of us, because that's the only way that happens. Stay tuned.